color it up in places, and then where the eyes are, I'm going to darken that area up for the head, like so. And yeah, that's going to be it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I just finished recording the video for this fly, and I realized that I forgot a finishing touch, which was to add a single turn of SLF dub in tan between the eyes of the fly and the eye of the hook. So just a single turn there. Yeah, just mimic some mouth parts or maybe antenna. Alright, so I thought I'd also take the opportunity to talk a little bit about why I developed this fly. Basically, I wanted to make a suspending fly that would stay up off the bottom and out of the sticks. I was just losing too many flies. Traditional weighted fly with the hook point down, I was just losing a lot of flies on the bottom. So I figured with this extended foam body and the right amount of weight to counterbalance it, that it would actually suspend, and it does. And it keeps it up off the bottom. And then this is designed with the weight on the top so that the hook point rides up. I find that I lose fewer flies, and yeah, I've got a good recipe that I came up with this size fly that I'm going to share here with you. But then I also thought that looking at the clips after I got done tying the fly, that it was tough to tell how big does this fly look when it's done. It's exactly the size of a quarter. So I got that pressed up right up to it, and that gives you an idea of what this fly looks like when it's completed. So I hope you like it, and yeah, we'll get to the tying part of it right now. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be working on this extended body weighted golden stonefly nymph. This is something that I came up with tying a dry fly version of the golden stonefly, which frequents the rivers and streams in the area that I fish. So they were relatively abundant. They hatch in June, even early July, or June through July. In this case, it's a size 8 hook, and I'm going to be tying with the same hook when we get to that step. I'll show you what I've got. This is a great version for when the stoneflies are hatching. So I like to have a few of these in my box. This is a dry fly version. If you weight it and then it counterbalances with the foam, you get that extended foam body look. And this is the stonefly nymphal version of what we'll be working on here. I'm using a size 6 Danville thread, and we'll get started on that. I've got the thread on the needle, and in this is the first step. So it's a good idea to, if you're going to tie up a few of these flies, to cut your foam out and make a few of these extended bodies first. So what I've got here is a little rule, and I measured this for this size hook. This is an owner size 8 upturned eye short shank hook, and tan foam, fly tying foam. Comes in a little square like this. That's 2mm thick. With a ruler, I measure 6mm for the width. So I cut 6mm width, and then I fold it over to get the appropriate length, and compare that to the size of the hook, which I've already done. So I know this is the length that I want. Fold it over, and then even up the ends of it with a sharp pair of scissors. In this case, I happen to have a pair of curved scissors. So I already have cut a natural taper into that, fold it over, so the two sides folded over. See that? And then, yeah, together, cut the curves in it, and hit it quickly with a lighter to make it uniform. Get rid of any fluff that's left on there from cutting it. Then we want to get the needle that I have secured in the vise here. We got the 6/0 Danville thread. Any fly tying thread will work, but this is 6/0. And I've got it tied on one layer, back over. The foam lined up right in the crease of where this folds. Push it through. And if you can get that centered, it helps with the uniformity as we move along here. And so I've got my thread positioned, and I can move this in and out on that needle to get it positioned where I want to do my first wrap as this is folded over. And right about there looks good. I want to get that taper to exaggerate. So we get a couple loose wraps and then pull on it, give it a little tug. That forms a segment. That's the first segment. Okay, and so right there is where I start with my biot. This is goose biot and olive. I'm going to get the curve facing out, concave, convex side figured out. And we're going to go right over that same wrap on the back and catch that at about the length that you want it. Okay, so that's a little long. Position that, shorten it up a little bit. Give it a tug, just a little. That's just barely holding that on there with a half a wrap. And grab the other one, get it positioned so the curved side is facing correctly. Basically you want it to curve back out like the actual fly does. Has these little tails on it. And we'll get a couple wraps to secure that. Got these pretty lined up on the sides, pretty good. And then what you want to do is go under the foam, avoid hitting those biots, the tails. Come up and under that one, and get your thread in position to catch the next segment. Have these about evenly spaced. I'm going to go for probably 5 segments depending on what we're looking at here for the appropriate size for the hook. And this does cinch it and make it smaller in diameter, so that 6mm wide starting piece actually slims down as you do this. Okay, and then we're going to go under the foam, under the top foam, and then under the bottom piece of foam, and then try to come out about where you want your next segment to be. That looks good. 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 wraps. And we'll fold the foam up, go up and over, and then underneath, also underneath the foam again on the bottom. Make sure our biots are to the side because we're basically pinching them on there. Becomes part of the look of the fly too if you can get them exposed on the outside. Then we'll go for the, looks like the 4th segment, and I'm going to adjust that a little bit to get kind of a graduated look to the taper of this fly. These segments get just a little bit wider in between each one. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, there's 4. I think I'm going to go with that with this particular fly. That looks about right. And we'll give that a whip finish. If I can find a whip finisher, there it is. Alright, yeah, so it's been a while since I've done a video. I thought I would share this. I need to tie a few for the season. And they do suspend. I decided to do these with the foam to get a buoyancy out of it, to suspend in the water column, keep it up off the bottom, getting snagged on rocks and sticks and stuff. So, and it still gets it down there. I fish these on an intermediate sink tip line on a 5 weight or 4 weight. The Suspending Stonefly. This one's in tan, and then that tan is about the right color that the naturals are underneath. and they're darker and mottled on top, kind of to blend in with the bottom. In this case, I've got the weight on the top of the hook, so even though the wing cases are on the top of this fly, it's actually tied to flip over so that the hook is up, in which case it'll have a better time not getting hooked on the bottom. Now step one is done with the foam body. All right, so for the second part of this fly, after you tied your extended foam body, you slide that out the hook, and if the thread that's sticking out, give it a tug, tighten that up a little bit, snip it with your scissors. We'll get this hook in the vise. That little owner size 8 upturned eye. Get that in the vise nice and tight. Alright, so we get that secure in the vise, and I've cut out a small piece of lead here, and had a flat piece of lead. Cut a taper on the back, and then come in the end, and with a small straight pair of scissors, cut right in the middle, and then peel the two sides to either side, because those are going to become the eye stalks or eyes. So once you cut this to length, they cut it to taper, and it's the length of the hook. Put the taper on the butt of the hook, and then the eyes are going to go forward. And so that little split that I cut with the smaller scissors right down the center, so that you can peel either side off as eyes. And actually, I want to have the thread on the hook here first. I'm going to go back to the 6/0 Danville and lay down a thread base. Go about to the bend of the hook. And this is a short shanked hook, so you don't have a whole bunch of room to work with here. We're going to try to tie in 3 more segments, put on some wing cases, and then I'll show you how I do the legs with this. That is an easy way to do these rubber legs, because the rubber can be difficult to work with. They want to shoot out in all kinds of directions when you cinch down on them. So, got a way around that. But we'll get to that. And first, we're going to secure this weight, and I'm going to tie it on the top of the hook, and that's going to make the hook shank, or the hook barb, ride up. So the bend of the hook is going to ride up. And then, like I said, the notch that I cut in the lead is going to serve as a little extra weight to get it to suspend, to get that secured to the hook, and then on the top, and then come around these eye stalks, figure 8 around those, and secure that to the hook, and wrap back with some securing wraps all the way back to the hook bend where it tapers off, and then you can test it, see if it's getting secure. That's pretty tight on there, and I might just put a little drop of super glue. So that's probably 4 times back and forth with the thread over that shank to secure that. And we'll whip finish that. One, 2, 3, 4 is good. Give it a little tug side to side, tighten that knot. Alright, so I gotta put a drop of super glue on the bottom of these wraps here, just to help secure it. Soak a little bit of that in there, let it dry. And then, yeah, a few minutes we'll get back to it. Alright, so for this next step, take our extended foam body now. It's got to go on that hook, so I'm going to take the hook out of the vise. Alright, so I've got the hook out of the vise with the thread and the bobbin still attached to it. And I brought the thread forward a little farther up the shank so that I can feed this foam body. It's got to go get this hook centered and not quite back to the crease where you've got it tied, your segments tied, and get the hooks centered and then try to push it through straight so it doesn't curve. Just goes straight through. Okay. And then once that's through, you feed it up onto the shank of the hook. And then, yeah, we want that to be oriented on there correctly. Okay, so you get the foam fed onto the shank of the hook. We'll get that back in the vise. Got our hook secured in the vise with the thread attached, and then we're going to go back in and get this thread oriented. It's a little too far forward, but I had it out of the way to feed the foam on. So now I'm going to go back to where I want my first body segment, and for my first thorax segment of this fly, I'm going to space it out a little bit more than the abdomen segments. I want these segments to somewhat graduate the distance between them to get this first wrap nice and straight. And then once it's on there, it's easier to do the following segments. So that looks pretty good for the back segment. 2 wraps and then pull on it, tighten it up. And we want this to be secure not only on the hook, but it's going to be part of what holds the legs. So we want to have it secure enough. But I also want to be able to get my threader, because the next step in this is to get this threader. Got a bobbin threader here. It's basically a piece of wire bent over. You could probably use a bread tie or something. But this gets pushed between the 2 segments, because that's how we're going to pull the legs through. So feed that through there. I've got some of this variegated brown rubber legs. I'll cut the whole length of it. And this will serve as our 6 legs. But basically with this threader through, what we can do now is push this, or just feed this rubber leg through the threader, and then pull it through. And I've got just a little bit too much sticking out there. Just slowly pull that through without breaking the legs. And if you tied this segment tight and not too far of a gap, these will sit right in there, and you have to pull on it to get them in there. So do it carefully as to not break it. But yeah, and that's a good length on that side. I'll cut the other side to match it. The next segment in this, and I'm going to space it about the same, because I want to get at least one more segment so that I can have one more place to pull the legs through. I'll get this oriented. 2 wraps and a pull to tighten it up without breaking the thread. I'll get a 3rd wrap over, and we'll go back through and feed the next section of legs. So this is a great way to do the legs, because it orients them so that they're coming out in the same spot on both sides. A lot of times when you're trying to work with this leg material, it seems like it wants to fight you if you lay it over and try to get 2 out of 1. And that's why a lot of these, you'll just see an X. You'll just see the 4 legs, because it's really difficult to add the 6 legs. But I like to see the 6 legs, so came up with this idea to push it through the 2 halves of the foam, this threader, so that it pokes out the other side right between the 2 halves of the foam. And this is why you want to tie it tight and not make your segments too large, because this is going to actually pinch that in there. So this just makes them look even. And it's a real easy way to do it. This is a real quick way to do it compared to struggling with these the rubber square. So it's real difficult to not have it, when it rolls, it wants to shoot off in all kinds of different directions. So this makes it nice and even, nice even look to it. Very pleased with the way this comes out in the end. So pulled that through about as far as I want on this side, and then just trimmed it on the other side, and then I've got enough left over to do the front legs. And we got one more hump, but right here we're going to put in our pheasant. And this is pulled off of the neck of a pheasant. These are on the neck of a male ringneck pheasant, and they're kind of orange black tipped little feathers. And I've got 2 doubled up here, even, and then go in and strip off the fluff off the side of the stems. Get right rid of that. And these are going to be our wing cases. So I strip them back about to where, when I pull them through, you know, you can do this so you get the effect that they're flared out, or you can do it so that they lay a little bit more flat. And either way, they look good. So we'll put in first set of wing cases here, and that's just a loose wrap. I'm just going to let it hang over the edge there with a single wrap, or actually half a wrap, and then slowly pull it in about to where you want to see it with the first set of wing cases. Push down on that, and then loosely go over it as to not get it to flare, with a couple of wraps, and then like one more to secure it. And then we got some legs, some wing cases, and it moves right along. So and we'll get one more wrap over top of that, nice and tight. And then we're back over to the final hump, and for that we want to go underneath the hook and the lead, come out back on top, and we'll get this final segment, which is going to be right on. It looks like I won't have to do much trimming. Okay, and then before I pull down on that, I'm going to push my threader through to pull the legs in, because this one's going to be tight. But as you can see, that foam, along with those little eye stalks that I cut the lead to either side and peeled it back a little bit, combined with that, it's going to make some nice eyes and serve as the right amount of lead to get this fly to actually suspend. So yeah, that was tight. I'm glad I didn't pull down on it and cinch it off and then try to pull the legs through. This is going to be tough as it is, but then they won't come out very easily. Matter of fact, they don't come out. Ooh boy, that is tight. Right about there is good for now. And then we've got one more set of wing cases. Taking these wing cases off of this, I guess it's actually where the neck on a ringneck pheasant. This is a whole cape. We're where the white of the band of a ringneck pheasant comes down to the where the throat and breast start. There's these little orange and black feathers that look great for wing cases. Do this right, get them sandwiched together and all that. The two stems, once you get them evened up, pull the fluff off of either side. Get rid of that. And you get two stems. Try to grab it where I can pull off enough on either side so that when I pull these through, it doesn't flare out a whole bunch. So this is going to be the final wing case. You can put 3 of these wing cases on. The naturals actually have 2 wing cases, and then there's a third one, a plate like, but I'm just going to do the 2. Looks good. This fly, I think a big part of this fly is it's just got the segmented body, and if you get the taper and everything right, it just looks very realistic. And do a couple wraps behind that to pinch wrap it, and then one more over the top. That should keep it good. And yeah, this is moving right along. But that's a pretty much finished fly there. We'll tie it off. Extended body, foam, stonefly with rubber legs. All the legs are in the same plane because they've been pushed through with a push pin. What else? I've got this colored marker here, a couple different shades of that. I've got darker brown and a lighter brown and yellow. So I'll go over, dot that up, and then yeah, you can put some varnish on it to make it look shiny if you like. And yeah, it's got a lot of movement to it. I leave the legs a little bit longer than you know, you might think. The longer the better, actually, because these legs are short and they don't get moved by the water much. But when they're longer like this, every little bit of current hitting those get them to move. All right, I'll go over how I color this up. I've got this light kind of orangish brown that I'm going to color the thorax. It's a little bit darker than the tan that the foam is. You can smudge it a little bit with your finger if you like. Kind of get some of the tan to show through. And yeah, on the top I'm going to make it darker as well. So color it up in places, and then where the eyes are, I'm going to darken that area up for the head. And yeah, that's going to be it. All right, well, I hope you like it. And if you enjoy the content, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified when I do more content. All right, thanks for watching.